Hey trainers, Sipes1946 here with Superior Source for Cards, and I'm going to show off a Feraligatr Prime deck. Feraligatr Prime is a Stage 2 Pokemon that evolves from Croconaw, 140 hit points, and has the Rain Dance Pokepower ability. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach Water Energy card from your hand to one of your Water Pokemon. It also has the Hydro Crunch ability. For 4 Water Energy, you can do 60 plus, where it does 60 damage plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on the defending Pokemon. So Feraligatr Prime allows us to energy ramp so that we can make a very quick attacking deck. And we will play 3 copies of Feraligatr Prime in this deck, which will evolve from a 3-1-3 line. 3 Totodile, which is the basic Pokemon, and a single Croconaw, which is the Stage 1. We will run 4 Rare Candy in the deck to help us evolve our Feraligatr line as quickly as possible, getting the Rain Dance Pokepower ability active as quickly as we can. Now we will couple that with our primary attacker in the deck, which is Lanturn Prime. We're going to play 4 copies of Lanturn Prime. It's a Stage 1 Pokemon that evolves from Chinchou, has 110 hit points, and has the Underwater Dive Pokepower ability. Once during our turn, before we attack, we may use this power, and then Lanturn's type becomes Water until the end of the turn. Now that's important because if Lanturn's type is Water, then we are able to use the Rain Dance ability to put Water Energy onto our Water Pokemon. So by activating the Underwater Dive ability, Lanturn Prime becomes a legal target for the Rain Dance ability. And you can see that Lanturn Prime's attack is Powerful Spark, 1 yellow, 1 lightning, and 2 colorless for 40, where it does 40 damage plus 10 more damage for each energy attached to all of your Pokemon. That's not only the active, but all of the Pokemon on your bench. So you can imagine if you have 6 Pokemon in play, 5 on the bench, 1 active, you have 3 energy to your active to activate the Powerful Spark. And if you had even just 1 more energy attached to each of your Pokemon, that would be 5 more. So you're able to do 90 damage while only having 3 energy attached to the active. And of course, you could imagine that if you can Rain Dance all the energy out of your deck, you're able to do quite powerful attacks that could even one-hit KO modern Pokemon EX. Now we play some technology in this deck as well. We're going to play 1 copy of Mantine. It has a great group swim ability for 1 water energy. Search your deck for a water Pokemon and put it in your hand. We're going to play 1 Suicune Shiny Legend. It's a basic with 90 hit point that has the Pokebody Extreme Speed. It has a retreat cost of 2, but for each water energy attached, you reduce that retreat cost. So if you want to activate the Tsunami attack, you're going to have to attach 3 energy, 2 of those being water, which means the retreat cost would be 0. The Tsunami attack is quite important. It's very nice because it will do 20 damage to each Pokemon. That's the active and all Pokemon on the bench. I can tell you that in my playtesting, the right Suicune Tsunami attack, if it can't be stopped or rotated out of the active by your opponent, you're able to knock out quite a few Pokemon on the bench, especially if you battle something like an HGSS-CoL of Legends Lost Guard deck, where you have possibly a lot of Mew Prime or baby Pokemon like Mime Jr. on the bench, and 2 or 3 attacks, you're able to KO multiple Pokemon simultaneously. So I thought it was important enough to play at least 1 copy of Suicune Shiny Legend in the deck. We also play a 2-1-2 line of Magnezone Prime. Magnezone Prime is a Stage 2 Pokemon that evolves from Magneton. It has 140 hit points, and it has the Magnetic Draw Pokepower ability. Once during your turn, before you attack, you may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. Now that's important because we're able to keep our hand full of cards to get our setup in place, to make sure that we have access to all the energy that we need to Rain Dance onto our Pokemon so we can do the most damage with Lanturn's attack. This Pokemon could also attack if need be because of the Lost Burn ability. 50 times the number of energy cards that you place into the loss zone. So if you needed a one-hit KO to win the game, for example, you could loss zone a number of energy cards attached to your Pokemon. 4, for example, would do 200 damage. So you could one-hit KO, possibly for the win, while simultaneously putting several of your energy cards in the loss zone. We're not going to want to put our energy cards into the loss zone early game because we want to keep those attached to Pokemon so we can do the most damage with Lanturn Prime as possible. But if you needed Magnezone's Lost Burn attack to one-hit KO for the win, you could certainly make that happen and do quite a bit of damage. Now, its attack requires a yellow energy, as does Lanturn's attack. And so I'm going to skip down here and point out that we play 4 rainbow energy in the deck. The 4 rainbow energy allow us to meet the energy requirements for the attacks of Powerful Spark on Lanturn Prime, and if we ever chose to use the Lost Burn attack on Magnezone Prime. It is a 2-1-2 line, so we play 2 Magnemite, which will evolve into Magneton. We play a single copy, and then as I said, we play 2 copies of Magnezone Prime. Now to speed up this evolutionary line, and to speed up the Feraligatr Prime evolutionary line, we play 4 rare candy. So that's our 22 Pokemon, and that brings us into our trainers. With the 4 rare candy, we play 1 Super Scoop Up. If we have one of our Pokemon that's about to be knocked out, we can, hopefully with a heads on our coin flip, activate Super Scoop Up and return that Pokemon and all cards attached to it to our hand. That can be quite nice because it will stop our opponent from possibly capturing a prize card, and it might also put some large number of energy back into our hand instead of the discard pile. We're going to play 1 copy of Switch so that we can move our Pokemon from the active into the bench at our own choosing. We're going to play 1 copy of Fisherman. Fisherman allows us to take 4 energy from the discard pile and put them into our hand. That's quite nice, knowing that we'll be able to rain dance those right back onto our Pokemon as soon as we have them. We're going to play 3 copies of Interviewer's Questions. This allows us to look at 8 cards in our deck, the top 8, and take as many energy cards that we see from those top 8 and put those into our hand. And of course, that's very important because, as you know, we can rain dance those onto our Pokemon immediately, thereby maximizing the damage output of Lanturn Prime. We're going to play 2 copies of Pokemon Collector. As you know, we could put 3 basic Pokemon into our hand, and of course onto our bench if that's what we choose to do. Great for our setup so that we can not only get our basics in play, but we can get the basics that we need so that we get our setup completed as quickly as possible. We're going to play 3 copies of Professor Elm's training method. Search our deck for an evolutionary card, show it to our opponent, and then put it in our hand. Now that's great because we're going to need to evolve our Magnezone Prime line. We're going to need to evolve our Feraligatr Prime line. So it's important that we get those cards when we need them. We're going to play Professor Oak's New Theory to keep cards in our hand. Along with our Magnezone Prime's Magnetic Draw, that ought to keep us in cards. We're going to play 1 copy of Seeker. Each player returns a bench Pokemon and all cards attached to it to their hand. Again, this can stop us. This can keep our opponent from getting a knockout and putting those energies attached back into our hand. And it might also force our opponent to do the same when it's not so advantageous for them. We're going to play 1 copy of Twins. We find ourselves behind in prize cards. This card's playable, and we're able to get any 2 cards from our deck that we need. And we're going to play 1 Stadium, 1 copy of Burn Tower. Each turn, a player may flip a coin. If it's heads, you can search your discard for a basic energy. Of course, we'll be able to rain dance any of those basic energy cards recovered using the Burn Tower Stadium card onto our Pokemon as we see fit. We're going to play 4 copies of the Rainbow Energy, like I mentioned, to activate Lanturn Prime's attacks. And if ever necessary, Magnezone Prime's attack. And then we're going to play 13 Water Energy, which of course we're going to want to try to get all in play, rain dancing them onto our Pokemon so that we can do as much damage as possible with Powerful Spark, which counts 10 more damage to the 40, for every energy attached to all of our Pokemon, and will also give us a number of energy targets to Lost Zone if we wanted to do Lost Burn for 200 or more damage and a one-hit KO to win the game. So that's our Feraligatr Lanturn Prime deck. 22 Pokemon, 21 trainers, 17 energy. It is a lot of fun to play, and I look forward to showing this off in a battle. All right, let's take the Feraligatr Prime, Lanturn Prime, Magnezone Prime deck into the ranked queue. As usual, we're going to come up against an opponent who's using cards that are probably more modern. I'm thinking that there's going to be some power creep associated with the HGSS-CoL of Legends Unlimited subset deck that I'm using. So the match might be a little one-sided. Hopefully we'll be able to set up our deck and display the advantages that we have to the card selections. We will get to go first. I really don't care if I win or lose. I want the deck to do well, and I want to have a good time playing it. We have no basic Pokemon. We're going to look at what our opponent is playing. Really get no clue here, except a Grass Energy. So we're both mulliganing. So we're both going to start with some extra cards. I'm going to put a Chinchou in the active and a Totodile and a Magnemite on the bench. We'll put a Mantine on the bench. He's got a VirGen EX in the active. We're going to go ahead and put an energy on the Mantine so that we can group swim if it comes to that. And we're going to pass our turn. He's got the one VirGen EX in the active. Put a Genesect EX on his bench. Interesting. So we're going to evolve our Magnemite to a Magneton. We could bench another Magnemite. I guess we're going to go ahead and do that since we've got absolutely nothing else going on. I don't think I want to attach the Rainbow Energy to the Chinchou, because without evolving that into Lanturn Prime, we're not going to attack, which means we really have nothing going on. So let's see what our opponent does. He needs one more energy to Emerald Slash. Okay, he's got his energy. So he's going to put 2 grass onto his Genesect DX. So I guess we're playing a pretty much straight up VirGen deck. We'll go ahead and Pokemon Collector. We'll take our Suicune, another Chinchou, and a Totodile. We'll go ahead and put the Suicune Shiny Legend on the bench. And we will attach our energy to that, and that's all we've got. So our setup isn't going too well. This is a traditional VirGen Genesect setup. He's attacking with VirGen EX, powering up his Genesect. He's going to put the G-Booster on it. If you figure out that this is HGSS-CoL of Legends, he knows we don't play anything to deal with his tools. Sky Arrow Bridge to reduce his retreat cost. He's going to retreat in for free, and presumably he's going to knock out our Chinchou. No biggie. We'll put Mantine in the active so we can do group swim if we've got nothing else going on. We'll do that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and evolve to Magnezone Prime. We're going to put another Chinchou on the bench. We can group swim to grab a Crocodile, but we're going to go ahead right now and Magnetic Draw. So we Magnetic drew into everything that we need to get a Feraligatr Prime evolved onto the bench. So now we have a Feraligatr Prime, we have a Magnezone Prime, and we're just missing a Lanturn Prime, which is our primary attacker. The group swim isn't really going to help us out right now because we've got nothing to evolve on the bench, no open bench spots. We're going to go ahead and put an energy on to the Suicune Shiny Legend. who only needs one more energy, and then we're going to Professor Oak's new theory. Actually, sorry, we're going to Rain Dance this energy onto Suicune. We could retreat Mantine, but let's Professor Oak's new theory first. We did get another energy draw. We also have a Lanturn Prime, so next turn we can evolve into a Chinchou and attach a Rainbow. So other than the fact that we're seriously outmatched by card quality, the setup is going really nice. We're going to go ahead and I don't think we're going to Rain Dance any more energy into play. He's going to one-hit KO anything that we play. So we're going to go ahead and retreat, bring our Suicune Shiny Legend, and we're going to go ahead and Tsunami, which will do 20 damage to each of his Pokemon. So that's 20 damage times 3. We just did 60 damage. Take that. He's probably wondering what's going on. So he's going to knock out. He's going to knock out our Suicune Shiny Legend. We're going to put the Chinchou in the active position, hoping that we're going to put enough energy on it to attack with it. We're going to evolve it to Lanturn. We're going to attach the Rainbow energy to it. We're going to Underwater Dive, making it a Water-type Pokemon until the end of the turn, so that we can Rain Dance the Water energy onto it. We're going to bench another Chinchou, and we're going to play Twins, and we're going to grab an energy so that we can attack with Lanturn Prime, and we're going to grab a supporter, I suppose. So we're going to Rain Dance onto the Lanturn Prime. We're going to Magnetic Draw with Magnezone Prime. We're going to put the Burned Tower into play, and we're going to attempt to get a energy from our discard pile, which did not happen because we flipped tails. We really don't have anything else to do. Well, we could Rain Dance this energy into play. Yeah, it's going to do 10 more damage. So we're going to Rain Dance that onto our Feraligatr Prime, and we're going to Powerful Spark for 90. We have 110 damage on his Genesect DX. He is going to knock out our Lanturn Prime, setting us back quite a bit. We're going to put Chinchou into the active position. We're going to attach the Rainbow energy to the Chinchou. We're going to try to retrieve an energy from discard with Burn Tower. We failed. We can Professor Elm's training method a Lanturn Prime, which we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to evolve. We're going to hope that we Magnetic Draw into 2 energies. And we Magnetic Drew into 1, which is not going to be sufficient for us to attack with Lanturn Prime. And he's going to knock it out. So we really don't have, we have a Super Scoop Up. It's really not going to be much use to us right now. We at least want to attack. So we're going to go ahead and Underwater Dive to make it a Water-type Pokemon. We're going to Rain Dance onto the Lanturn Prime and retreat, bringing forth Mantine, and we're going to Group Swim for a Totodile, and we're going to put the Totodile on our bench next turn. Presumably he's going to, okay, so he Plasma attaches onto Genesect, activating red signal, and he put our Magnezone Prime into the active position. We're going to attempt to attack with Lanturn Prime again. We're going to bench the Totodile. We're going to Underwater Dive, making Lanturn a Water-type Pokemon. Once again, Burn Tower has failed to reclaim any energy. We are going to Interviewer's Question and take no energy out of our deck. So at this point, he's going to knock out the Lanturn Prime. We're not going to be able to attack with it. I think we're just going to go ahead and Rain Dance onto Feraligatr Prime. And we're going to attempt to super scoop up the Magnemite so he doesn't get a KO on it. And we'll bench it again and end our turn. So let's see what he does. He's got a powered up VirGen EX on the bench. He's got a nearly powered up Genesect EX on the bench. He's got a second VirGen on the bench. He's got a G-boosted powered up Genesect EX in the active position. He now has another active Genesect EX. He does knock out our active. We're going to attempt to get an attack in. We're going to put Feraligatr Prime in the active. We're going to evolve our Totodile to Croconaw. We could Seeker, forcing each one of us to pick up a Pokemon, but it wouldn't do any good. Let's try to get an energy using Burn Tower. And we fail again. Professor Oak's new theory. Totodile to the bench. We are going to attempt to get ourselves a knockout right here, right now. And we do 170 damage plus 110, knocking out his active EX, forcing him to put another powered Genesect EX into the active, which he will G-booster, take the knockout, and win the game. We're fine with that, though. I think we gave him at least an interesting perspective. Normally, I think he is playing other standard recognizable decks and probably beating them quite quicker than the 11 minutes and 9 seconds it took him to beat us. You can see that Feraligatr Prime in this case did 320 damage, did 170 damage, which is really good considering the fact that this is an HGSS-CoL of Legends Unlimited subset. Lanturn Prime typically does more work, and in the appropriate matchup of decks, you will see Lanturn Prime doing more work, and you'll see a more favorable outcome. You were able to see the Magnezone Prime with the draw power. You were able to see the Lanturn Prime with the attack. You were able to see Feraligatr Prime with the rain dancing, and we were able to get our water Pokemon fetch technology in place with Mantine. So I think it was a good game. We didn't win, but it was a nice showcase of the deck. This is Cypher 1946, and I look forward to bringing you another match and another deck review.